Members, this is the last item we're taking up today. We're going to move to return to motions and resolutions. It's the time for adjourned memories. Senator De Leon. Senator De Leon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, it is with deep sadness that I rise to adjourn in the memory of David Goldberg, who passed away suddenly this past weekend in Mexico at the very young age of 47. David was a humble titan in the otherwise gaudy world of the Silicon Valley tech industry. He graduated from Harvard University with a dual degree in history as well as government. His accomplishments include stints as a top executive of numerous technology companies, including Yahoo, and more recently the online survey tool SurveyMonkey, which Dave helped turn into a $2 billion enterprise. But for all of his successes, David never lost sight of his roles as a husband, as a father, and as a brother and friend. He cherished his children and family, and he was known by many for his kindness both in and out of the workplace. David was a consummate gentleman and a lifelong feminist, supporting and encouraging his wife to pursue her professional ambitions and make the most of her talents. A dutiful and loving husband, he made sacrifices to accommodate Sheryl Sandberg's meteoric ascent to national prominence as a tech executive in her own right. He led by example in hiring and promoting women to prominent leadership positions in his companies, and in adopting progressive workplace policies that respected the needs of women and mothers. Nearly half of his executive management team at SurveyMonkey are women, a rarity in the male-dominated tech industry. He personally saw to it that his companies set the standard in workplace flexibility, pay, fairness, and gender equality, all while creating invaluable tools and products and generating consistent returns for his investors. He is a glowing example for all of our business leaders, and California is better for it. David Goldberg, who formerly used to live in Los Angeles when he was a music executive, then after his marriage, he relocated. They made a decision to come up to the Bay Area, Menlo Park. He is survived by his wife, many who you all know, as Sheryl Sandberg, and their two children, his brother Robert, his mother Paula, and our prayers are with Sheryl Sandberg, the children, his mother Paula, and the rest of his family at a very, very difficult time. Colleagues, please join me in remembering one of our giants for his humanity, Mr. David Goldberg.
Thank you. Senator Jackson on this item.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I wasn't going to get up and speak, but I think the legacy that this man left is one that should be an inspiration to all of us. We were blessed, or very fortunate, I should say, last year to have his wife, Sheryl Sandberg, come and speak through the Legislative Women's Caucus at an event that many of us here attended, and were so inspired by her efforts and her call to women to lean in, not to step back, not to stay back. And part of the inspiration for her was the fact that she was married to a man who was truly her biggest fan. And I think for many of us here and for the generations to come, it's really important that we look at this extraordinary man who was an enormous success in his own right, and yet his willingness to stand back and let his wife, who was as extraordinary, perhaps even more, shine in the light of her accomplishments so that he was able to bask in her glory as well. And I think for many of us who looked at that partnership, we will not see him anymore through an extraordinary tragedy. But what we can learn from his work and his example is one that I think we could all benefit from, and so that his memory and his ideals and his values as a husband and as a father will not go in vain, so that as we go in the future, we remember his example as an extraordinary example of what life can be when two equal partners go out and conquer the world.
Thank you. Senator Nguyen on this item.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too also, I want to first thank our pro tem for bringing this forward. Dave was an extraordinary gentleman. Just a little background, add to what has already been stated. In 2006, he was named one of Billboard's magazine's top power players in digital music. His accomplishment in technology and moving forward and being a leader is an inspiration for me, being the Gen X generation, being a part of it, understands it a little bit, gets it as well, and truly enjoys all that he has accomplished, and everything with it brings down to us as the consumers. You know, comments from his wife, he's been her rock and called their 11 years of marriage the truest partnership that she could have ever imagined. Hundreds of people close to him, including top entertainment and technology executive, filled the Stanford University Auditorium to mourn his loss. And so I too want to thank the family, his wife and his children, his mom and brother, for giving him to us and his talent to the world, because without it, I don't think we would see what we've seen today. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Nguyen. Senator DeLeon, if you could please bring Mr. Goldberg's name forward so that he may be properly memorialized by the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. One other germane memory that I have is, members, I also want to take a moment to mark the passing of a dear friend to many of this chamber, that is Trina Cohen. Trina passed away suddenly at a very young age of 43. That is far too soon. She was a stalwart, not only in her household, but in her community. Trina is the wife of Sam Cohen, who's the general counsel and director of governmental affairs for the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians. This was quite sudden, not expected at all whatsoever, and it's a big tragedy to the family. Trina was born in 1971 in the United States territory of Guam. She was an avid LA Dodgers fan and an active member of her school district's Parent-Teacher Association in Solvang, California, in Santa Barbara County. She is survived by her husband, Sam, her young daughter, Rebecca, and her sons, Abram and Canoe. She will be dearly missed, and may we keep the Cohen family in our thoughts as well as prayers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator DeLeon. Please bring her name forward so she may be properly memorialized, and send the Cohen family our deepest condolences. Senator Gaines.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I rise to adjourn in memory of Lauren Van Camp, who passed away on April 20th. Today in the gallery, we have with us her father, Judge Brian Van Camp, and her stepmother, Diane. Lauren was a longtime resident of Northern California and the daughter of retired Sacramento County Superior Court Judge Brian Van Camp. Lauren was a gifted artist and designer. She created stunning works of art and helped numerous family and friends beautifully decorate their homes. She was also an excellent cook. Her dinner parties were legendary. Lauren was a beautiful skier and snowboarder. In fact, I remember skiing with her as a teenager. My sister Margaret skied with her on a regular basis at Squaw Valley. In her youth, she was so fun. My sister Margaret was sharing stories with me on all the great adventures that they had on their ski trips. She cared about her community. She volunteered assisting abused women and children at the Tahoe Safe Alliance in Kings Beach. The North State has lost an outstanding citizen, and she will be missed by her family and everyone whose lives she touched. And I'd like to also speak on behalf of my wife, Beth, who grew up at the same church as the Van Camp family. And sometimes we just don't understand why some things happen in life. There's just no explanation. And so we seek God and ask for his guidance in these very tough moments, and our thoughts and prayers are with the Van Camp family. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gaines. Senator Nielsen, on this item?
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I did not have the experiences that Senator Gaines and Assemblymember Gaines had with Lauren, but I certainly know the Van Camp family for many decades. And she certainly is an epitome of that family, a family of great-hearted achievers, people who are dedicated to their community and to service. That's always been Van Camp family trait. It's tragic that such a leader then is taken from us so early. God has his purpose and reasons. We pray that he will comfort the family and accept her in his house of many mansions. We wish her Godspeed and comfort and peace to the family.
Thank you, Senator Gaines. Please bring her name forward so she can be properly memorialized, and please send the Van Camp family our deepest condolences. Senator Stone.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have one adjourn in memory, but before I do that, I also wanted to just make some brief comments about Dave Goldberg. I wanted to express our condolences, certainly from my district, and recognizing what a true entrepreneur he is, what an inspiration he has been to younger people, and showing that entrepreneurialism is alive and well still in the state of California, and his philanthropy. And during his ceremony, the rabbi used a Yiddish word when he referred to Mr. Goldberg as a mensch, which was one of the highest compliments that you could pay a man, that he's a good man, a righteous man. And it's just very tragic when you see somebody of his abilities and contributions at 47 years old to tragically be killed. It should be a lesson to all of us that life is short. We all work very hard. But a good name lasts forever, and I know that Mr. Goldberg's life will remain in our hearts forever. And then, Mr. Chair, I respectfully also rise today to request that the Senate adjourn in the memory of a man who is truly an American hero. Louis D. Bombardier was 91 years old when he passed away at his home in Menifee, California. Mr. Bombardier was an inspiration to many, and he was a man who loved his country. When he was just 18 years old, Mr. Bombardier joined the United States Navy and served our country in World War II. He continued to serve in the Navy until 1967, and his service included a tour in the Korean War and 2 tours in Vietnam. He became a sailor in an age of prop planes and oil-powered ships, and retired working on the supersonic aircraft and a nuclear-powered submarine. Louis Bombardier rose from a seaman recruit to chief petty officer as an aviation structural mechanic. In everything, he brought a sense of dedication, courage, understanding, and immense pride. He was repeatedly acknowledged by his commanding officers for his ingenuity and professionalism. His accomplishments are many. The Helicopter Squadron 6 Battle Efficiency Award for being the first, finest, and safest helicopter squadron in the 7th Fleet during the Pacific Theater operation of World War II. He received 6 Good Conduct medals and ribbons with 6 stars, a Mediterranean Theater of War medal and ribbon, a Vietnam Service medal and ribbon with 2 stars, a Navy Unit Commendation ribbon, a Pacific War Theater of Operations medal, a World War II Victory medal and ribbon, a Navy Occupation World War II medal and ribbon, and a Korean War Service medal with 2 stars. I had the privilege of writing a birthday note to Mr. Bombardier just before his passing, and when he read my note, he told his family, quote, "Yeah, he's a nice kid. He can write me whenever he wants." Mr. Bombardier was an American hero. He was a patriot. He was a proud father. He lived a great life. He ran the good race and fought the good fight. He will be missed, but he will always be remembered, respected, and loved by his countless people that he touched throughout his life. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me the privilege of adjourning in the memory of Chief Petty Officer Louis D. Bombardier. May he rest in peace.
Thank you, Senator Stone. Please bring his name forward so that he may be properly memorialized, and please send the Bombardier family our deepest condolences. Members, any announcements? Senator Mitchell.
For purposes of announcement,
Without objection.
would like to announce that Senate Budget Subcommittee 3 looks forward to a robust and potential lengthy hearing today. We'll convene at 11:30 in room 4203.
Thank you. Senator Wolk.
Budget Sub 2 will meet at 11:15 in room 112.
Thank you. Senator Block.
Budget Sub 1 will meet at 11:15 in 3190.
Members, any additional? Senator Roth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Budget Sub 4 will meet at 11:30 in room 2040.
Thank you. Any additional announcements, members? Seeing none, if there's no other business, Senator Monning, the desk is clear.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, the Senate will recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Monday at 2 p.m. Monday at 2 p.m. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Monday at 2 p.m. Have a great weekend, members.